Did the real estate market really pop off again? As crazy as it sounds, we have found ourselves in a very hot, very competitive market with multiple offer scenarios and bidding wars over the last 6 to 8 weeks. In this video, we're taking a look at the current state of the housing market in the Chicago suburbs and where it might be headed as we power through the rest of the spring market and into the summer market. And hold the phone and hold on to your butts because this extremely high activity market might not last. And we're going to talk about why. Thanks again for visiting the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is John Sintich. I make content just like this each and every week about all things living in the Chicagoland area. I'm also a licensed real estate agent in the state of Illinois, so if you need any help moving in or out of Illinois, specifically the Chicagoland area, we'd love to hear from you. Just reach out to me. All my contact information is going to be on the screen and below in the description of the video. My team and I would absolutely be honored to help you. All right, let's get into it. So if you're paying attention to the mainstream news media with regard to housing, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. Real estate is a hyper-local industry, and what's happening in other parts of the country might not be happening here in the Chicagoland area, and it's not. The mainstream media really doesn't have a grasp of this concept. I don't blame them. It takes a lot of research and really studying the markets to actually understand what's going on in different parts of the country. They probably don't have time to do all of that research. They're just going to take blanket data across what's happening nationally, not break it down locally, and give it to you as the consumer. So I wouldn't say they're trying to harm you with information, but if you're really trying to understand what's going on in your local market, it's not going to be the right source of information for you to be looking at. Different markets within the country have different market conditions. And so as we think about that, let's take a look at what's actually happening. Certainly in some areas of the country, housing inventory, the available homes for sale is actually skyrocketing. Prices are going down. They're dropping from the insane highs that we saw during the boom of the pandemic. However, in the Chicagoland area, this is simply not the case. So if you're trying to educate yourself on what's actually happening, I recommend you pay attention to the real estate market experts in the Chicagoland area, as well as the information you get on this channel, because we actually help people buy and sell real estate in the Chicagoland area every single day. So it's our job to understand this data in and out. We actually have access to all of this data so we can share what's happening with the consumer so that we're not doing guesswork and we can keep you updated with real-time data each and every month. So let's look at what happened in March. Over the month of March, detached single-family homes in Will County saw a 10.8% increase in the median sales price. The median sales price of a detached single-family home in Will County was $360,000 in March of 2024, which was up from $325,000 in March of 2023. So please don't get confused by when the mainstream media is saying that home prices are going down and that prices are going to be falling even more. They're not in the Chicagoland area. In fact, Will County home prices have actually risen 7.5% over the last 12 months. These are detached single-family homes. We're not talking about condos and townhomes. We're talking about detached single-family homes, up 7.5% over the last 12 months. Do you know what's actually going down in the Chicagoland area? Home sales and the inventory of available homes for sale. We're actually seeing a significant decrease in closed sales in Will County. We saw a 21% decline in closed sales in March of 2024 compared to the same time last year. And over the last 12 months combined, there's been a 15% decrease in closed sales of detached single-family homes in Will County. That's going to be due to low inventory, not many homes available for sale, and lower buyer demand. Interest rates are still on the higher end, sitting in the high 6 to low 7% range. We saw actually a lot of stability with interest rates over the last few months, which has helped buyers become more comfortable, but that's actually changed recently, and we're starting to see a little bit more volatility with rates. More on that later, though. We're seeing less homes because there are less homes available for sale. In fact, in March of this year, we saw a 2.2% decline in new listings compared to March of last year in 2023. And over the last 12 months in Will County, we've seen inventory of available home sales down about 13%. In March of this year, there were just 699 new listings total. Now let's put that in perspective on a national scale, because I'm throwing numbers out at you and they might not make sense in context. So let's compare that to what's going on across the entire country. So right now there are 526,000 available homes for sale roughly in the United States. Now, if we go back to 2021, during the height of the pandemic housing boom, when we had record low inventory, there were about 250,000 available homes for sale. So about half of what we have available for sale in the country today. Now let's compare that to 2018. Let's go back. And at that time, there were over 800,000 available homes for sale. So compare 2021, 250,000 homes for sale, to 2018, 800,000 homes for sale. That's a massive difference. So as we stand today at 526,000 homes for sale, we're above the record lows, but we're nowhere near where we need to be to shift away from the seller's market that we're in towards a more neutral or a buyer's market. And now let's go back to Will County, where the story is there's actually less homes available for sale right now than there were back in 2021. This is why things have gotten crazy again. We're seeing some homes sell for $10, $20, $30, $40,000 over the asking price. And we're also seeing crazy terms that benefit the seller, as is purchases, non-refundable earnest money, free rent back. If you don't know what those things are, you can just reach out to me. I'll happily explain them to you. Now, why is this happening other than the low inventory? Now, I don't have data on this. We need to survey buyers and get some consumer sentiment to actually get some real data. This is just my opinion as someone who has sold real estate in the Chicagoland area for a living for several years and kind of has a good idea of what's going on in the market. People are just sick of waiting for interest rates to come down. Life is passing people by and people need to move for whatever reason. And they're coming to grips with the fact that mortgage rates aren't coming down to 3% like they were back in the pandemic. That's just not going to happen. They're finally understanding that and they're comfortable with their monthly payment where it is at the current rates, and they're just going to refinance later when mortgage rates come down. They don't know when that is. Nobody knows when that is, but they're comfortable with that monthly payment where it is right now. And they're saying, this is it. We're accepting this monthly payment. And if rates come down in the future, which they eventually will, we'll refinance that. We're not waiting any longer. We just can't. So that sentiment, coupled with the fact that we're still at really, really low inventory in Will County specifically, is combining to create a very, very intense competitive market for buyers. And it's driving home prices up continually. Now, this could all change, actually. We could see another slowdown in the market's activity. We did see that slowdown from 2022 into the end of 2023 when rates went from 3% to up to 8% at one point. And we could see the market slow back down to that level again this year. And here's why. Mortgage rates are actually on their way back up. They're back on their way up to uncomfortable levels. I'm talking potentially 8 to over 8% again. And again, let me stop and say that this is all conjecture. Again, nobody knows where interest rates are going to go. They were on their way down. Now they're coming back up. Anyone who tells you they know where they're going is BSing you. So what's going on? In a nutshell, inflation data is not showing the results that the federal government and the Federal Reserve want to see. I mean, look around. Do you feel like inflation's coming down? Gas prices are over $4 a gallon in the Chicagoland area. I don't know where they are wherever you're watching, but they're higher again. I mean, geez, I spent over $150 at the grocery store last week, and that was just for myself. That was for my own food. I didn't even buy food for my wife and daughter. I starved them. They don't get to eat anymore because food's so expensive. So inflation just isn't cooperating with what the Fed wants it to do. It is coming down, but it's not coming down fast enough for the Fed's liking. And so we might not see the Fed cut rates at all this year. You know, there were hopes at the beginning of this year. There were headlines saying the Fed's going to cut rates 6 times this year in 2024. That was the sentiment at the beginning of the year, the end of last year. And now the sentiment we're seeing is maybe 1, 2 Fed rate cuts, maybe none at all. This recent shift in sentiment is actually causing the bond market to react negatively. And without getting too deep into the weeds on this, the bond market influences mortgage rates, and that's causing mortgage rates to go back up. We've already seen rates shoot back up to 7.4% earlier this month in April. And at the time of recording this, we're in the 3rd week of April here. We're still right around 7.4%. Now that could go higher, up towards 8% and maybe over 8% if we see inflation data worsen, if we see bond markets react negatively to this. Now, if that happens, it's going to be more difficult to sell a home again. We're going to see things slow down. We're going to see buyers get back out of the market, sit back on the sidelines and say, hang on, these rates are just way too high and prices are too high. Can't afford this. Now, if inflation data comes in where they want it and things soften a bit and we can see rates get back into the 6%, low 7% range, then we're going to continue to see the activity that I talked about earlier in this video. Multiple offers, bidding way over asking price. We're going to see that continue because there's not enough homes for sale and buyers are comfortable with interest rates at, high 6, low 7% range. So that's what we're seeing here in the spring market. Regardless of what the market's doing, where interest rates are at, if you need help making a move this year, just reach out to me. I'd absolutely love to help you. All my contact information is going to be on the screen and below in the description of today's video. If you enjoyed the video today and you got some value from it, do me a huge favor. Like the video, subscribe to this channel. I make content just like this each and every week about all things related to living in the Chicagoland area. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.